Hello everyone, today let's solve the problem number 1068, product sales analysis 1. Right, so here main question is to retrieve the product name, year and price for each sale. Here they have given the table, we'll be discussing this one further. So we have to retrieve the product name. Here you can clearly see product name, year as well as price for each cell. So that's what we need to retrieve. The output has to be this one. So what the question states here, we have two tables. First thing, what are the two tables we have? One is sales and one is product. You can clearly see here, this one is sales and this one is product, right? So we have two tables, one is sales and one is product. And what does sales contain here? Sales contains, or the sales table contains details of sales transaction including sale ID, product ID, year, quantity and price. So this one I'm speaking of, right? Here you can clearly see sales ID, product ID, year, quantity and price. All are integer types, right? Sales ID is of integer type, product ID is of integer type, year, quantity and price is also of integer type, right? So what does product ID contain here then? So product maps product ID to the product name. You can clearly see here, it maps product ID to the product name. That's what it does here. Product ID is of type integer and product name is type of varchar, right? So I hope this is clear. Again I'm telling, product ID maps to the product name. So what is our main task here? Our main task is to retrieve the product name. We have to retrieve the product name, this one. We have to retrieve the product name, year and price. Here you can clearly see this one, year and price. So product name is of type varchar and year and price is of type integer. Here we have to retrieve the product name, year and price for each cell by joining these tables on product ID. By joining these tables on product ID, right? So this is what we have to do. So I hope the question is completely clear. So here we have sales table example. You can clearly see here we have sales sale ID, product ID, year, quantity and price we have. So ID 1 to 7 they have given, product ID 100, 100, 200, year they have mentioned, quantity they have mentioned and price also they have mentioned. You can clearly see product table we have here as 100, 200 and 300. So we have here Nokia, Apple and Samsung. So final output has to be here. So from the question we know that we need to retrieve the product name, year and price for each sale by joining these tables on the product ID, right? So in the explanation they have given clearly here, from sales ID 1 here. So where is this one? Yeah, from sales ID 1 or sale ID 1 here. So we can conclude that Nokia was sold for 5,000 in the year 2008. You can clearly see here price is 5,000 and this is 2008 year, right? So that's what we need to retrieve, product name, year and price, right? So we have to retrieve the product name, year and price for each cell by joining these tables on product ID. This one they're speaking of here. So first one was sale ID 1. Let's go with the sale ID 2 now. Sale ID 2 here is this one again. Product ID 100, year we have 2009 and 5,000. So here from sale ID 2 we can conclude that Nokia was sold for 5,000. Here you can clearly see this one they are speaking of, this one. Nokia was sold for 5,000 in the year 2009, right? So in the year 2009 from sale ID 7. So based on this one sales table, so 7 here. So this one is basically Samsung, right? So sorry, this one is Apple. So here from sales ID 7 we can conclude that Apple was sold for 9,000 in the year 2011. You can clearly see here 9,000 in the year 2011, right? So we need to display the same thing, or we need to display the same thing in the output, product name, year and price. Nokia we this one year 2008 and 5,000 we saw this one. Nokia again 2009, 5,000 we saw this one, and Apple as well 2011 and for the 9,000. So that's what we need to return based on the product table and sales table, right? So I hope this is completely clear what we need to do. So let's discuss the approach first and then write the query. So here let's discuss the approach step by step. First thing here, we'll be going with the inner join. Let's see why we'll be going with the inner join. So we need to match the this one, product ID, nothing but sales dot product ID here. This one we need to match this one with product dot product ID. Why we need to match these both? Because to get the product name. So that's what we need to get this one in the output. So we need to return the product name in the output, which is of the type varchar. That's we have discussed that one in the what do we call during the question, right? So while explaining the question, we have already went through that one. We saw the example, right? So first we need to match the sales dot product ID with the product dot product ID. Nothing but to get the product name basically. I hope this step is clear. So we will be making use of the inner join for this, right? So just keep this in mind. This is simple to understand, right? So this will be the first step. Let's move on with the second step. We will be selecting the we'll be making use of select for the required columns. So we have to fetch the product name. We have to fetch the product name, right? So previous step itself. So to get the product name, we are making use of the inner join. Basically, we need to match sales dot product ID with the product dot product ID. So to get the product name itself, so we will fetch the product name from the product and from the year, right? So we will fetch the product name from the product and year, from the product and year, and price from sales, right? So we will fetch the product name from product and year, comma, price from sales, from the sales table, right? So this one we have already seen this one in the question. This will not be difficult to understand. The second step, first and the second step, I hope it is clear. The second step, the third step here is we will be going with the order by clause, right? So why we will be going with the order by null? So this is optional basically. You can ignore this one as well. So we will be going with the order by clause. We'll be going with order by null basically. So if no specific order is needed, then order by null can optimize the performance by avoiding the unnecessary sorting. So to avoid the unnecessary sorting, if no specific order is needed, then we can make use of order by null, because it can optimize the performance by avoiding unnecessary sorting. This you can just consider or you can just ignore. This is optional, right? So this is the approach that we will be going with, right? So I hope the approach is completely clear. Now let's start writing the. So accordingly with the approach, first we went with the inner join, then we have to select the required columns. That is nothing but we are fetching the product name from product and year, comma, price from the sales. We have already discussed this one. And finally we'll be making use of order by null. Order by null was optional. We saw that one as well. So this is the approach that we'll be going with. We have already discussed this one, right? So let's try to articulate the same thing in the form of query, right? So first what we will do, we will select the product name from the product table and year, right? Price from the sales table. So we will be selecting the product name from the product table and year comma price from the sales table. So I'll just go with the select keyword here. E dot product name, right? So as I've said, product name, year from the sales table. So I'll just be going with s dot year here, and price is also from the sales table. So I'll just be going with s dot price. I hope this is clear. So the next step is we'll be making use of the alias s. When I say alias s means we are going for the another name for sales, right? So we'll be making use of alias s for sales table for better readability. So I'll just give here from sales s. So we will perform inner join to combine matching rows from the both tables, right? So I'll just go with here inner join product P, right? So we have made use of P. So this is product P. So after performing the inner join to combine matching rows from the both tables, accordingly with the approach, now we have to match sales dot product ID with product dot product ID. That's what we saw in the approach. Now we have to match sales dot product ID with product.product ID to get the corresponding product name. To get the product name, we have to match sales.product ID with product.product ID, right? That's what we will be articulating that one in the form of query here. So let me write here product underscore ID equals p dot product underscore ID. This is fine. So the final step here is no specific order is required, right? So no specific order is required. This is optional. You can just ignore or you can just write no specific order required, optimizing the performance by avoiding the sorting. We can just make use of order by null as we have discussed. So here I'll just give in this case order by null. This is fine. This is it for the query. So let me hit the run button. I hope this works. Let's see. Runtime error, unknown column is dot. So yeah, I have misspelled year here. Where is this one? Here, this one. So let me make this one A. So let me hit the run button again. So here you can clearly see the sample test case is getting passed. Means the query works absolutely correct. Let's see whether it works for all the test cases or not. So let me hit the submit button. I hope this works for all the test cases. Let's see. So yeah, you can clearly see here all the test cases are getting passed. Means the query works absolutely correct on this case, right? I hope whatever the query that we have written is completely clear, right? For now, this is it. Thanks for watching, guys.